Welcome in, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed their fantastic week, and I know we did. It's Tony, it's Jason. It's the Win Daily MLB Early Lock Show. Make sure you're following us at Win Daily Sports on those social formats, our articles, our projection models, and as always, sponsored by the Sharp app, your one-stop shop for all things sports betting. 8 games, Jason. A lot of good pitching matchups here. So let's start right off the bat. Who we going to zone in on? Ace of the slate. Who we got?
Look, man, it's probably Garrett Cole, 28.2, 2 starts for Tampa Bay. His K prop is 8.5. Looking at Vegas, this is going to be a low scoring game. Tampa Bay does not scare me at all. I think he's got the better side here against McClanahan. If I'm starting a team, in the major leagues, I'm taking McClanahan. But if I'm starting a pitcher, on Monday night, I'm going Garrett Cole over McClanahan here. Look, you got to get different. 8-game slate. You can fade both these guys in this Tampa Bay New York Yankee game. Corbin Burns, he had a studly start against the Cardinals. Cardinals are a good hitting team, but you want to throw out a righty at him if you want a shot. He went 7 innings, 11 Ks, 0 earned runs. There's upside in Burns. Brios face a White Sox team that are traveling late on Sunday night to go back home. They've been struggling to score. Barrios 9,000, get a discount here. He's got over 23 and 3 straight starts here. And then you got Darvish, super cheap on DraftKings, only 8,100, 22 plus in 4 of the last 5 starts. He's going against Arizona here. So those are the 4 guys that I'm going to have most of my ownership in tournaments locked in on. And then you got some cheap guys that we'll have to talk about. Keep them in your player pool. Try to get different on an 8-game slate. We just talked about it on SiriusXM, for the past 2 days on Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 11. You got to build right, and you got to build to take down tournaments. So cheap guys, Tony's got some, I got some. There are guys out there that you can go out there and really just load up your stacks on the guys that you want to get if you go cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't always pay off for everybody, right? You have to leave out some funds, and I think we're both in agreement. Garrett Cole, absolutely. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going Garrett Cole, you Darvish as my main stack. They're my 2 guys. So if you do go Garrett Cole and you Darvish, we're going to get to guys that you can look at. But Jay, you mentioned all these top guys. Is there a pitcher maybe that a pump pitcher, a value pitcher, somebody we may look at? For me, I like Lance Lynn. I know we're in a little disagreement here. He was rusty in his first start going up against Toronto. They had a big emotional win. Sometimes after an emotional win, there's a little bit of a letdown. Lance Lynn's a veteran. He's been through this rigorous battle before, so I think he comes back and gets you production. But what about you? Any value plays here?
Look, you got the 4 guys up top that you want to lock in your player pool, get your ownership right on those guys. You're building multiple lineups. Those are the 4 studs of the slate. You got Mikolas at 7,800, who's coming off a game where he almost pitched a no-hitter, 1 out shy. He's got 17.7 and 2 starts versus Milwaukee. Milwaukee does strike out a bunch. So Mikolas is a guy that can go out there and get you points at 7,800. Brubaker versus Chicago. Chicago, boomer bust type of lineup. They can go out there and get shut out. So He's averaged 14.2 and 2 starts versus Chicago. He's 6,900. He's in play on DraftKings. Davies coming off 3 strong starts in a row. There's possibly no Manny Machado for San Diego. Without Machado, this lineup is not scary at all. Davies is cheap. You got Winkowski, 6,200. A value play going against Detroit. Anytime you get a team going against Detroit, you got to look at the opposing pitcher here. Winkowski, nothing crazy that's off the charts here, but you got a matchup against Detroit. Keep in your player pool. And then Killian, man, he's a top prospect for the Cubs. He had a decent first start, not so great second start, but he's going against the Pittsburgh Pirates, $5,000. You mentioned Lance Lynn. He's got some higher upside there in the $5,000 range too. So I think, it's an 8-game slate. Those are the pitchers that you want to target in your GPPs to get a little bit different and also give you opportunities to pay up for guys like Mike Trout and your top stacks, because Trout's been on fire. He faces a lefty here. And when we start talking about stacks, Trout is a guy you want in, potentially with the Angel stack or as a one-off, where you might go to Boston, who's in a great spot. And we got to find ways to get different with our stacks as well.
Well, we just talked about the orange. We broke it all down. So you can't give us a segue here of the bats. So we're looking at stacks and who's the stack. What's the main stack? Let's not break them all. Let's just say, what is the main stack? 1 or 2 teams that we said for the most majority of our lineups who we're going to play.
Look, Boston's in a great spot, man. You got guys like Dever, JD, Xander, Verdugo, Story, some cheaper guys like Cordero or Duran, that might be hitting at the top of the lineup as well. Boston's in the best spot. They're the best offense going right now for Monday night slate. Outside of that, I'm not a real big Angel stack type of guy. Outside of Trout, this lineup, this team hasn't been hitting that well. Trout's been on absolute fire, so I like them as a one-off. Arizona, San Diego, probably a fade for me as far as main lineups. Toronto, look, they're coming off a big game. They clawed back to win against the Yankees 10-9 on Sunday. They faced Lance Lynn. If Lynn is shaky again, these Toronto bats, when they're hot, they're one of the best hitting teams. I like Toronto as well. And then if you want to get sneaky and you want to build differently, look, Chicago or Pittsburgh, nobody's going to play these guys. These are two unproven pitchers here, maybe two of the worst pitchers on this slate. So Brubaker, I spoke about Brubaker and Killian as potential punt plays, but I also going to talk about the Cubs and the Pirates as potential lineups that nobody's going to want to play, and they might be the team that ends up taking down a tournament because, like I said, we went over some strategy. You want to be in these tournaments boom or bust, especially in baseball, where these stacks make all the difference in the world, and the Pirates and the Cubs will be 5% or less owned here. So while everybody else is loading up on the Red Sox because they're in a good spot, there's a very good chance that one of these guys and one of these teams, the Pirates or the Cubs, can go out there on any given Monday and show up. And I'll mention the Braves too, man. The Braves have been super hot, so don't discount the Braves here. They got some big bats, and 1 through 6 here, 1 through 7, they can definitely go out there and put up some runs.
Yeah, and with the Braves, I talked about this on Sirius. You're facing Logan Webb. Oh, if you look at the splits, always go to DraftKings when you're building strategies and look at the splits, the home and away splits. Look at the logs, and Logan Webb's given up 5 home runs on the road. Okay, 5 home runs on the road, and Adam Duvall is one of those streaky hitters. He's only going to bat 200 to 210. He's like, remember Adam Dunn back in the day? He's bat 200, strike out 200, but hit 40 home runs, right? I mean, it's just what this guy does. So he's in a good spot. I don't know what the number is yet. It's too early, but if you're watching this later on, make sure you look at that number. And what about this, Jay? I'm going to go Seattle or St. Louis. I'm going to get different. I'm going to go against Corbin Burns. I know it's crazy, but this is the way you win these big tournaments. Listen, Corbin Burns is a better pitcher away than he is at home. Jason made a great point on Sirius talking about a bigger ballpark. Milwaukee is a hitter-friendly ballpark, and there's a lot of good value with St. Louis that I think you have to look at. You look at guys after a Goldschmidt and a Tommy Edman and Arenado, and then you're talking Gorman at 3,900, Donovan at 3,700. And for me, my FFVP and Harrison Bader, a guy who's been absolutely on fire. Okay, when you talk about positive point production and a cash line for FFVP of 7 over in 5 for 5 and 3 multi-hit games within that span. So he's a guy that you can really look at. So except for St. Louis, I think that's the only pivot that I have. So Jason, before we get out of here, any other value, words of caution, any kind of props, anything else that we're looking at on this 8-game slate?
Yeah, value. I'll mention a couple of names if you need some value on this. Say, look, I want to get Mike Trout in this lineup. I want to get guys like Cole and Yu Darvish in the lineup. If you're looking for value, Mazzara out of San Diego, he's 2,000. Sawinski for Pittsburgh hit 3 home runs on Sunday. He's 2,200. You got some other guys like Vogelbach, cheap for Pittsburgh. Eric Hosmer, 3,200. Vogelbach, 2,700. There's some cheap bats out there. In Toronto, too, depending on who gets to start in the outfield, Gurriel or Tapia, they're under 3,000 as well. So there's some cheap bats. Chapman, 3,400. So there's some lineups that have some cheap bats. Bets early on that I like right now, the Braves. They give me the Braves at like minus 140 when they really don't lose. They've been winning almost every single day. I know it's not going to go on forever, but minus 145 on the Braves, I like that bet. Blue Jays minus 130. Might lock that as well. Tony, I know you like the Yankees and San Diego as well, but there's some games that we're going to stack. We'll be talking about in our expert chat, all day, all night on Monday, going out there and try to get leverage on a field on an 8-game slate.
Yeah, you have all day. So make sure you're checking in that Discord chat. We're in there all the time, checking, with the new projection models that come out, we're constantly updating them. You have all day. First pitch is not till 7 o'clock, which is good. Gives you a long day, even after work. This show is 10 minutes. Listen to it, get it on podcast, wherever you need to find us, you can. And obviously, we want you to be profitable. If we're profitable, you're profitable, and everybody's happy. So make sure you have a really, really good lineup in. Make sure you get your values in. Everybody be profitable, and we'll catch you back here next time.